Okay, hello everybody. We are back for another episode of Always Almost There, day after show live. Hello.
Hello.
It's a day after a show that I was at. It's pretty exciting. First time. Is this the first time one of us has been at a show and then is on the day after?
Yeah,
because we kind of just lives.
Because we just started doing this.
Yeah, but D was at a show, but he missed the day after. But
he's different.
Anyway, last night was so much fun. Very, very excited to dig in. We have a very special guest, my father, who will be on shortly. Before we get started, as always, a word from our sponsor. Today's episode of Always Almost There is sponsored by Evergio Wellness. Evergio functional mushrooms are here to help right now, whether you are gearing up for a show, going to sleep afterwards, or recovering and restoring the day after. With a wide range of health benefits, Evergio mushrooms help you make the most out of the moment through the ancient healing properties in their highly potent fruiting bodies. The organic certified therapeutic potency and their planet positive refill system are two of the many standout reasons that Evergio is my choice supplement. Be clear, chill, balanced, energized, protected, focused, and calm in the moment with Evergio mushrooms. Use code STORMSOUND15 for 15% off your order, available to ship anywhere in the US and Canada. So last night was so much fun. I'm ready to talk about it. I think my dad's ready to talk about it. I think we just bring him on.
Bring him on. Bring him on.
Hello, Rob.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Always Almost There. We're very excited to have you on for the first time.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Of course.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being on, Rob. I just want to say something real quick. I just want to give props to Rob. Just raising your boy. I mean, you've got an intelligent, funny, musically talented, on his way to becoming a true gentleman. But enough about Andy. Let's start to talk about the show last night.
Good one.
I was waiting for it.
That was
good.
Well played.
Very well played.
Well played. Well, I take very little credit for that. Ryan is him.
You take all the credit for Andy, but that's all you. Well, anyway, so yeah, last night was fun. We got to Stubbs a while before doors, hanging out in line, which was cool. The venue's interesting because it's basically just like a dirt pit behind a restaurant.
Sounds like awesome. Yep.
Yeah, and so, but we had a great spot. We were on the soundboard rail, so directly in front of Getty and Sam at front of house, which meant perfect sound. And because there's no incline, at least in the close up area, it's harder to see over everybody's heads. But we were able to like hop up and sit on the rail fence that was right behind us, so we were able to see over everyone and get a good view, which was nice.
And had the added benefit once you were up higher of the sound being significantly better because nobody blocking the way.
So tell us more about the venue. What was it like aside from being a dirt pit with no incline? What else? What else did you see there?
So the stage kind of had a canopy over top of it, and it almost looked like a shark's mouth. I know that's going to be a weird way to describe it, but that's kind of how it looked. And so it was very small. And Coach wasn't directly side stage. He was side stage, but down lower because that was just kind of the size and shape of it. But it was really cool. And so that was almost a canopy for Getty for his lights to be able to project onto there, which made for some super cool visuals.
Mm-hmm. And when I got there, I heard the tail end of sound check, which I heard AEIOU and them rehearsing So Fresh, So Clean, which was cool to hear. It was interesting because the people that were waiting outside at the time weren't really buzzing about what was going on there. And I was trying to figure out who it may be, what song it was like, but there wasn't much buzz about it, which I found interesting. I think people were still expecting that Billy Strings sit-in. Jesse Fats, Billy's photographer, was there last night, which he said that he was. I ran into him at one point. And he said, it was funny for him to be there. He wanted to be there just, because he loves seeing Goose and shooting Goose. The whole Billy crew flew out of Austin yesterday, and they'll be back later in the week, I think, for his second weekend performances. But yeah, he said it was funny that his presence there was just like, stirring people again. So Neil, it's a good thing you didn't try to expose another sit-in
You
last
should have
night.
tipped me off. I would have done that. Yeah.
You should have taken a selfie with him, Ryan, and then sent that to Neil. And let Neil run with
You
it.
should have.
I should have.
But if you would have went 0 for 2 on B Strings sit-in rumors, I mean, I don't know what that would have done to your reputation,
Would have destroyed my credibility. Really.
There's only so far
I have
that
an enormous amount.
yeah, but there's only so far that the Trey sit-in picture can get you. Eventually, it's gonna run out.
But yeah, hey, I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. The Billy Strings one, I was just passing it off. Lesson learned. I just have to be there for the time that the Billy Strings sit-in happens. That's what's it's got to go down.
It'll happen.
So was the venue as narrow as it looked?
Yeah.
To me, yeah, like it looked like, if you're in the first like 5 rows, you're amongst like maybe like 150 people. Like not even, you know what I mean? Like you can't even like get towards the side.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I was like looking on Instagram last night, and you were mentioning like Coach being side stage there. It looked like they ate up a good amount of place where like people would normally stand. There you go, Paulie News. Thank you, Diesel Johnny, for that. But yeah, so did it feel like kind of like cramped trying to get around up there, or did you stay like right in front of the boards the whole time?
I didn't move.
None of us did.
And part of it too is I'm sure it was completely oversold. So as when we got there, we were one of the first ones in just because we had happened to lined up early. And by we, I mean Ryan. And we got to our spot, and maybe up by the stage, it would be 30 people across. And so then by the time it filled up, maybe it's 40 or 50 people across because it got really, really tight. I mean, I spent most of the first set directly behind a guy who was right in front of my face. Not a lot of room for dancing. And I think that was just the nature of the venue.
Yeah, it was interesting when we got there and I saw the size of the place. I was like, this holds 2,500 people. Like, it seemed more like a 1,000, 1,500 capacity size venue. So it was interesting, but it was absolutely packed. I'm glad we got in when we did. We hit the merch line early and then got to our spot because like trying to move around during the show, even at set break, was just an absolute nightmare. Like it was just absolutely packed in, but not to the point where I think it really impacted a lot of people's show going experience. Like for us, at least, we were able to carve out a little bit of space in our area to dance. And as we mentioned, being able to hop up on the fence there and kind of get above the crowd a little was definitely nice.
Was it kind of a late arriving crowd, or were there delays getting because they started late?
Mm-hmm. So they had a really good entry system where while we were lining up before doors started, they went through, they were checking people's tickets, they were checking people's bags, and we all got wristbands. And so when they opened doors, it was just like, all right, hold up your wrist as you go by, and, people were just going in. So I think entry was easy. It was most people got there a bit later, which I think was a result of there were a lot of people probably coming from the festival, which ends at 10. So that's why the show was starting then, was so people coming from Zilker Park, which is not that far away, but, they were coming over so they could get there for the show. So it definitely filled in right before showtime, and they went on at a pretty regular time, which was nice. It was only 15 minutes after showtime, and I wasn't.
Well, but the problem with that was it resulted in the shortest show of the tour because they were up against that hard curfew. So it was only clocked in at 140 minutes. So
interesting.
That's why I was wondering if
it didn't feel short to me. Yeah, it didn't feel short to me, which is, I'm normally really looking at the clock during shows, like song length, set length, whatever. But last night I was just having a good time. Like,
that also could be impacted by the fact it was ending at 1:00, right? So it gets later into the night. So maybe there's a bit of a trick on the brain that way to think that, wow, this was long. It's almost 1:00.
Yeah. Right, and looks like they only dropped one song off the set list too. So.
My 8-pointer, of course.
Yeah, and so it feels like maybe they kind of knew that was going to be a short show.
What'd they drop?
Drip
Teal.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And AIOU and Empress got a little swap, but for the most part, it was intact.
Drop the drip.
Yeah. So should we talk about the music?
Yes,
Yeah,
let's
let's
talk
do.
about the music.
Yeah.
Echo Opener was great. My mom loves this song, so that was nice. It's always good to get my mother approved songs. Which there are significantly more mother approved Goose songs than there are mother approved Fish songs. So it was great though. Great 10 or 11 minute version to ease into the night. I love it. Rob.
No, I thought it was awesome, and I could hear our harmonies while you and I were singing side by side in the venue. No, I thought it was a great opener. It was beautiful. I'm really accustomed to Ryan calling songs when we're at Fish shows, so I like to think myself as really good at doing that. And Ryan is better than I am. And at Goose shows, it was like they hadn't even played a note, anything, and he called. Oh, they're playing Echo. How did you know? And he did that I think 4 times last night. So
Yeah, he destroys group chat routinely.
They have
outdoor nights.
Yeah, no, they have certain mannerisms or like intro little noodles that they do for certain songs.
Sure.
So
No, I mean, there's definitely some tips, right? Like when Peter does, I mean, you can see where Peter's standing, and then
yes,
it kind of narrows it down to a few songs. And if you kind of know what's going to be played, I think you can kind of pull that off a little bit.
Yeah.
Not that I've actually tried to do any of that, but Ryan seems to be good at it.
Yeah. It was especially apparent when we got to the encore or the non-core with Empress, where somehow he started just jumping up and down, Empress, and they hadn't done it.
I know. Neil knows the same thing at Goosemas. Rick turns around and starts doing this bounce thing.
That one too. I mean, yeah, it's like, okay, so Peter does the non-core talk. You see, you've got about 15 minutes left. Peter's sitting at the keys. At that point, what's it going to be? You know what I mean?
Narrows it down.
Yeah.
And
get
it's not
Arcadia
white
or
lights.
Empress.
Not white, yeah, and it wasn't T because he was on piano. So it's like, there are clues. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Sorry,
Empress.
That
Back
was
to
my
the first
fault.
set. Everything Must Go. I think the three of us had all heard that song on the webcast last week when they debuted it. But Rob, this was your first time hearing the song. What was your first impression of it?
So it was interesting. I was listening to it. I liked the vibe of the song as it started, and they went through the main part of it. But I was really impressed with where they took it after they got through the lyrics and the words of it. It was exciting. I mean, I find they can do that with most any song. Wherever they're at, they find a way to take it to a nice peak. So I really enjoyed it for the first time hearing it.
Yeah, I thought this time around, I liked it a lot better than the first. And maybe it's just because I'm kind of more used to the song now. But there's a really nice section where Rick is doing a nice little solo and Peter's right on the underside with the organ. And it just sounded great. It sounded really, really good this time. Because I think last time we talked about the song, I was saying it didn't feel very tight. This time it did. It felt like, they got a couple more reps in before they played it. And I'm psyched about this song. It's like a ballad, and you're like, when a band introduces a new ballad, probably sometimes you're like, I guess it's exciting. This one I'm actually pretty excited about hearing more.
Yeah, definitely liked it a lot more this time around. I agree with everything you said there. I mean, it sounded tighter, and that's what they do, right? I mean, with these new songs, they're not afraid to put it out there and then make tweaks. No pun intended, as necessary. Digging this one,
Mm-hmm. Great tune. And then we get Redbird next, which my brother was very, very excited about. He wouldn't enthusiastically sing the Straight Burden the same way that we were doing, but
I noticed that
he joined in on it. But solid jam here as well, around 15 minutes or so. Sounded to me like Spuds was doing a kind of slower variation on the Dripfield drum beat during this jam, which I thought sounded really cool here. But yeah, solid version, nothing crazy.
Well, for myself, I'd say better than solid, but I obviously don't listen to every single version of every song like you guys do.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was really incredible where they took that jam to compared to what the composed part of the song is.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and I thought they did some really interesting things through the jam where just breaking it down and doing some really really neat, clever stuff. And by the end of it, I was like, wow, they got here from Redbird. That is super, super impressive.
Yeah.
So was there a Straight Bird video?
There is
Yeah.
one. It's on Twitter.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
That's the video
Oh.
where somebody replied and told me to stop singing at shows.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought that was
Neil.
the Rockdale video. The
No.
Rockdale video was really good. That was awesome.
Yeah, you're
Thank you.
probably
enjoyed
gonna.
that.
You probably need to unmute Ryan. And
I do have a problem with this. Like, there are people, and I've said this to you guys before, like, I have to sometimes search for Jive's tweets. Like, they just don't show up in my feed. I don't know why.
So-
but I have to now go search out this tweet. So
yeah, pretty strong Straight Bird video. And look, to be fair to Andy, that's tough. You know what I mean? It's like cameras in your face.
Yeah.
But then Ryan and Dad are together, but then now the camera's on me and I'm all alone. That's tough. That's tough. I'd be a little camera shy, I think, there to let my Straight Bird fly. But yeah, solid effort, you guys. That was good. I was hoping to see Mom in there too. So I mean, I don't know what you guys might get tonight in terms of family sing along, but I think we'd like to, if we could get the whole family in one shot.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's probably what the people want to see.
Tonight is actually my sister's first Goose show. She just flew down from Toronto today, so she is not excited, but we are very excited for her.
yeah, based on things that you've told me before, I assume she's like not there to see Goose, and she's probably excited about some other bands, or is she's all in on the Goose thing?
She's here because we dragged her here.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
But I'm very excited for her to see Goose, But let's get back to the show here.
right.
State of the Art comes out of Redbird. I love this cover. My first time catching this live. Another one of these more rarely played covers. Was this the third time this year? Last time played Peach, and then before that in the spring in Nashville. But yeah, great cover. And yeah, Dad, I know you were at Peach, so you saw this then, but did it feel different to you?
No, it felt the same, but because I had seen it before, I knew what to expect, and I really love the way this song plays out. Right, like it's just, and I'm pretty good with the lyrics.
No, you're not.
Well, the AEIOU part, I can handle that. But it's kind of what I find about these guys is at times they're very poppy, which is and this tune is falls into that realm, I think, and I really enjoy it. Like it's just something, considering I've spent so much time listening to Fish for so long, along with other bands, and it started with Almonds and the Dead and stuff like that. But Goose takes me to a different place, and I really love it. And I'd never been exposed to this song other than hearing it from them, and I thought they did a great job with it last time.
Yeah, it's just an incredible vocal performance, right? And I think one thing that Goose does, aside from like a lot of other jam bands, is, and you guys have heard me say this before, so like I kind of sound like a broken record, is they can show up and execute a cover perfectly, right? So like, they do AIOU, and in a way that like I think bands go out there and like non-jam bands and just like execute an amazing song, and people pay like big money just to see that song, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the case here. They absolutely crush this cover, and they do it perfectly well. It's just not like a band trying to pull off another band song. This is a band doing another band song very, very well.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a killer song, and Rick sings it so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I got nothing to add to that. I mean, it's one of my favorites as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about The Animal. Another one of my absolute favorite songs. So happy to hear it last night. My dad and I, we've been playing it a bit together, which has been fun. But my mom loves this song too. So another just amazing family sing along moment there. I think we got some video on that one somewhere, but it was great. Nice extended middle section again, second version in a row to do that. I'm curious to see if they keep, extending that and really kind of jamming it out, or keeping it to this, shorter. I think last night's, how long was last night's Animal?
Let's see, 14 or 15. Yeah. I had it at 15.
Okay, yeah.
So is this the one where they when they were in the jam and they would go they kind of broke it down a little bit and then they'd build it back up to go, and they did that 3 or 4 times? Was that this jam? I feel like it was.
Could have been.
But none of you are recognizing me saying that, so maybe
that was probably it.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of what else it could have been.
I thought it was really cool the way they were doing that. It was almost like you know what it was almost like in a way like in Bowie, at the end of Bowie, where Fish kind of breaks it down before Trey goes into the right and builds up that. It was kind of similar to that, where they kind of broke it down a little bit and then built it back up again and then broke it down and built it back up. I thought it was
and the song is just so good. You know, the crowd was going crazy for it, because how can you not?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a great song, right? It's got an incredible hook to it. And you know, the jam in it is awesome. It's a dancer, so it's got, you know, all the elements of a song that's absolutely going to rip anywhere they place it.
Yeah.
You know,
And then
what other song do you talk about monkeys' abdominals? I mean,
yeah,
it's
right.
true.
Exactly.
It's true. And then to close out the set, we get the sit-in, So Fresh, So Clean, with Big Boy, Sleepy Brown, and DJ Cutmaster Swift. That's who was on stage.
Before we talk about that,
yes,
this is actually relevant. Like, did you hear in the Animal the off stage, like like on the mics?
We didn't, but that probably happened.
They were definitely, somebody had a mic in their hand and somebody was definitely digging that. I thought it was a sample.
I thought it was a sample.
Yeah, and then I started like listening a little bit closer, and it wasn't the same sound every time. It was like a couple different kinds of yes. And then I realized that, you know, this was the song that, you know, they came out for the sit-in. So I was just curious if you heard it in the crowd or if it just showed up on the street.
I did not hear it. But that's funny that, you know, you guys were able to hear it. We did see, like, there was like the DJ table set up on the stage during the first set. So I, figured it was, you know, obviously because I heard the sound check, I knew what was coming, but I didn't know, you know, whether it was going to be, you know, one person or, you know, and it was 3 people on stage, but it was very, very cool. You know, the band was digging it. Peter was dancing. Like they were all just having a great time. It was really, really cool.
That close-up video of Peter dancing that you got was outrageously good. I got a good smile out of that this morning.
Yeah, it was a great one.
Yeah, that's I mean, that was fun for sure. I do. Yeah, I'd love to hear the backstory on you know,
how that came together.
You know, hear the conversations around you know, bringing that collaboration to life. So, but we probably never will. But it's fun to speculate on how that came about. I mean, who knows? Was Shapiro involved? I mean, some people think so. I don't know. You know.
He wasn't there, so
you know, most Goose you know, sit-ins tend to be, you know, people from bands that, you know, one or more of Goose is a big fan of, you know what I mean? So I think Trevor's probably a big Outkast fan, you know, so, you know, maybe he's made some connections. I don't know. It's he was having a good time. Everybody was having a good time.
Everybody was having a great
Rick
time.
looked like he was having a real good time in this one.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he isn't usually that animated out there, but, you know, we've been talking about this. He's a little bit more animated this tour and kind of like a little bit more expressive. And in that one, I mean, he had the full-on like giant grin that he had for the Trey sit-in at Radio City.
And Rick, I was just gonna say, Rick on background vocals for So Fresh, So Clean, as well. So,
I mean, he was like slipping a little falsetto in there, like here and there, and it sounded wonderful. Like the actual music of it sounded great. Yeah. And then, you know, he dropped a little guitar in a couple spots, and like it all just fit perfect.
Yeah.
So I'll have to tell you guys this story some other time, but what I was reminded of last night was, you know, Fish at the Brooklyn Bowl, you know, with the big, I'm sorry, Fish, wherever Jay-Z came on.
Just Brooklyn, Keith Van Park.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking about last night, because I had a little bit of a tip as well in terms of kind of who was coming on last night, and so yeah, I was thinking about that. And so my friend was at that fish show. So I'll save it for another time. But pretty funny story about what you can do when you have that inside information. So yeah, and then
You're gonna leave us hanging?
yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's not a good story actually. It's more for just a smaller group at another time.
Gotcha.
So we have a really big group today.
And then and yeah, slightly smaller.
Dozens of us.
Well, yeah. So that closed the set, which was really
Yeah.
fun. And I noticed watching back the video of it that they posted this morning. Sleepy Brown was really digging on Trevor, what he was playing. He kept looking at Trevor during the song, and then like fist bumped him like 4 times afterwards, which was really cool.
Nice.
And, yeah, great bass line there.
Well, you speak about Trevor, but one of the things I'll tell you is I've said this to Ryan a whole bunch of times is to me, Trevor is the secret weapon of the band. I mean, he is so strong. And often when I'm listening at home, he's part of the mix. But there were probably 6 or 7 times last night where he just did something on the bass that it's like my head popped up and I'm like, oh, Trevor, oh my God, he's so good. So I just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah. And then, so we open up the second set. Set break was not too long. It was like 20 minutes or so. But yeah, as you mentioned, getting it in before curfew. But
28 minutes, but
it was 28 minutes. Okay. I'm
Yeah,
incorrect.
you're on Showtime, man. It's not real time.
It's not real time.
It's not fast like the way that real time does. Not at all.
True. I was looking at the clock to see how much time they had before curfew there, and I'm glad we were able to get in 2 sets still, like instead of just 1 hour and a half long set or whatever it may have been. But Creatures, I think this was the jamming highlight of the night for sure. They got into a really, really cool jam on the back end of this. Great interplay between Rick and Peter. Peter playing some great piano, while the rest of the band just holding down the groove. I thought it was great. Not going to make my playlist, but still just really strong jam.
Yeah, I agree. It was like right from the get-go. It had great pace and had a good chance to move and dance to that one. I really loved it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, not much. I mean, good, solid Creatures for sure. I know a lot of folks were, kind of feeling Thriller in there, which we
you said that to me. Yeah,
multiple times.
Yeah. So I feel like we get that vibe from time to time, and yeah, so yeah, really cool jam. And I mean, yeah, your comments on Trevor were a good segue into this because I mean, this was another jam where he was, really kind of thumping it out, especially kind of that kind of mid-late, section. And yeah, I mean, good stuff. I think we were all pretty psyched to see that as a second set opener again as well. So
yeah, always great in that slot. And then from there we get Fish in the Sea. I was also very excited about this one. Hadn't caught it live yet. One of my favorite covers from the band. It was great. At this point, I don't think I went into the second set expecting, huge jams because I kind of looked at the show. It was like, oh, well, it's still kind of a festival show. So it's just going to be, a 2-set festival show. And so, different to how LA in August was kind of built like a 2-set festival show. I think that one I didn't have the expectation going in. And so some of the stuff maybe didn't land as well. But last night, I went in with just like, we're going to have a great time tonight. They're going to play. It's going to be fun. And so, getting a cover and then something I knew wasn't going to jam huge, later in the second set, like didn't mind it too much last night.
I think it's got to be the feeling whenever they do play Fish in the Sea. It's never really gone anywhere truly to outer space. I guess like Bingo Tour was, that
still
kind
the
of
goat.
Like, that kind of droning jam, which is like really cool, but doesn't need it too. Like this one's just it's an awesome song. I heard it at my second Goose show, and like, it still is a pretty special one for me. It kills live too. It's just so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, five plays now for Fish in the Sea this year. So
is that the most played cover?
Yeah,
or is
it's
that tied
tied
with Shama now?
And I think Electric Avenue
Also
is
five.
up there too.
I think Electric Avenue 6. Maybe it's 5. I don't know.
Maybe it's 5. Well,
Um,
Dad, had you heard this song before?
No,
And what
No.
were your thoughts?
I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. You guys all touched on the goodness of it and seeing it live. And listen, if I've tried to teach Ryan anything about going to live shows, is you're at a live concert, so don't have expectations and just enjoy the ride, right? And so here's one. I don't recall hearing the song before, and I really loved it. It was enjoyable.
All right, yeah. And then we get Rockdale with Griffin from Dawes on drums. They really like playing with the guys from Dawes, and the guys from Dawes really like playing with them. I think, they've had Taylor guest a bunch of times. Rick played with Dawes at that All In festival in early September. This Rockdale was just great. Obviously, you guys mentioned the video of the two of us singing. This is also one of our favorite songs to play at home together. So, really awesome to catch it live together again. Also one of my mom's favorite songs. It was fun. Really fun.
So Jeff was on guitar too, and I thought I heard him, I wouldn't say taking leads, but it wasn't like he was just playing rhythm, was it? He was accenting.
He's a guitar player.
Yeah.
Jeff does it all.
Yeah, he does it all. I mean, he's an
He
incredible musician.
he gives guitar lessons. I mean, I don't know if he does anymore now that he's, now that these guys are all, millionaires. But yeah. I mean, he was. I know he has a history of giving guitar lessons. And then obviously, an accomplished stand-up bass player, drummer. Yeah, I mean, dude does it all.
That's a great segue
Sax,
into if you want to hear
plays
more
the sax, right?
about Jeff and everything that he's doing. There's an episode of We Move Through Stormy Weather that comes out tomorrow with Jeff.
It's amazing. We
available
can't get
wherever you
through an
get the
episode of
podcast.
anything without Ryan plugging something.
You should have.
I got
Yeah,
stuff
Ryan.
going on.
Lots of goodness out there.
Ryan, you should at least ask one of us to do that, because when you do it yourself, I mean, just
I wasn't
Wait, how about
planning on
this?
it, but
How about
it
this?
came up.
you should have your dad do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I should have.
Exactly. A shameless plug for Ryan's beautiful content. So
Wow.
tomorrow, look for that.
I'm personally really looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be great. I know it's going to be great. And I'm excited.
Well,
What's it on?
It's an episode of We Move Through Stormy Weather. It comes out.
Help me out. What is that?
That's my other podcast. Storm Sound. It's all under the Storm Sound umbrella,
So
back to the show here.
Well,
Rockdale.
and back to what you were saying about Jeff and just being able to play guitar and teach or whatever. It's one thing to be able to play an instrument. It's another thing to insert yourself into a going concern. So obviously he knows how to do that, playing the percussion and all. But to add an extra guitar and plus the piano, but it can get very busy very quickly.
Mhm.
And I thought, from what I could hear, Jeff he added extra. He just didn't play guitar for the sake of playing a guitar, so he had a spot on stage. It was I was impressed with that.
Yeah, no, it's good that you mentioned that, because there literally was a moment he did a real tasteful fill at some point, and I was like, oh, okay, kind of your same thought. Okay, he's not up there just holding that thing with the volume turned down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's adding to the song. So yeah, that was great.
Well,
Mhm.
listen, Miles Davis used to say, right, like music is the space between the notes, and I've been accused when I've been playing, not that I'm anything more than a hack with the kids and some friends, whatever, but of playing too loud, and you get excited and you keep playing, but it really is an art form to find your spot and become a part of the whole, as opposed to forcing your way in. And so that he did a great job with that. It was super cool.
So don't let Rob here tell you that he's a hack, because I've
He's very
seen
talented.
I've seen the family band. In fact, I tuned in the first time I saw the band was it was happening live on YouTube, and I think Ryan and I were in the early stages of our blossoming friendship and professional partnership.
Yes.
And
Bracket
and
business.
so I can't remember what you guys were playing. I mean, it was definitely a Fish song.
Yeah.
And sorry, Andy, but so Andy fell off the stool.
We were playing Tweezer. Yeah.
Was it Tweezer? Okay.
He fell off the stool mid
And I mean, I literally tuned in, and then that happened 30 seconds later, and I was like, oh, this is like it's a
It's real.
It's a family. Yeah, it's like a whole family like comedy, music routine. This is good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. But
It's
yes,
a backyard show, some type
Yes.
of backyard show. Yeah.
live from the
Yeah.
backyard.
I have seen that too. Yeah, I didn't watch it live though. I have to admit.
It's out there. It's out
But
there.
you guys had fun in the Rockdale. I think everyone knows, or everyone who wants to know can know. You can find the video on Twitter.
Yeah.
And you guys are having a blast. You made me like have fun just watching you guys. So
Thank you.
Awesome.
We try.
yeah,
After Rockdale, we get Yeti, which is, Yeti itself, strong Peter guitar solos always. Again, keeping that dance party energy going. But then 726, one of the highlights of the set for me, not a particularly standout version of the song, but it's just such an incredible song.
Yeah.
And I love it so much.
Yeah, just yeah. I mean, you always love it, and I think we're getting I think we're getting a really good rotation now of set to ballads, and yeah. So keep that coming because I think yesterday I was listening to the recent Eurocean, and I mean, dude, I'm not gonna lie, I rewound that and played it twice in a row. I mean, it's there was a time where I think we were not getting that very often, and we were not, and even still a little bit, but like not getting
there were a
this
couple
old C
of-
very often.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's picking up a little bit. Like to see Arise, continue to get more plays.
Yeah.
But yeah, good stuff. 726.
I feel like C is in a different category than stuff like Arise, 726, and Eurocean, though, because C is also a jam vehicle in itself. I think these other tunes are just really, really great second set ballads. And yeah, I agree. Seeing them on a tighter rotation is awesome. 726 had a couple of 15 show gaps this year, and so I'm glad they're they're playing it more frequently now.
well, yeah. I mean, it's exciting. There's 2 plays of 726 so far in this tour, and sometimes you only get 2 plays of 726 in a whole tour. So let's hope we're seeing it more. And it's not just like a coincidence, like early on.
Yeah.
And I don't remember hearing the song before, but actually experiencing it next to Ryan, who was so into it and loving it and absorbing it, it made it one of my favorite Goose tunes, like instantly, just because it was amazing to watch. So great concert experience moment for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice to have someone on here saying just so many consistently nice things about Ryan. I mean, maybe we should try it more, Neil, because it actually sounds really good coming from someone else.
Yeah,
I'm not biased either.
Yeah, we should just have Rob on more often. That's the answer there, right? Just to balance us out. So yeah, agree with Michael there.
Yeah, and Ryan said that too. Yeah, maybe because it was on the album. But yeah, so after 726, Peter let us know about the non-core, and then Rick turned around to Spuds, did his little bounce, and I knew it was coming. Just like Neil, I think I reacted very similarly to how I reacted at Goosemas.
Yeah, my arm still hurts.
Yeah.
From you grabbing my arm. I think it's a permanent injury at this point. But yeah, no. Was,
yeah, I was very
stoked.
excited. I was very excited. One of my favorite Goose songs. I love it. Great way to
end
end
the
the
non-core. Can we talk about the non-core again? Because we really,
Yes.
beat the heck out of this
Yeah.
dead horse.
The noun or the verb?
Yeah. So parts of speech aside, and pedantic copy editing.
Hashtag Goose Teachers.
Yeah, hashtag Goose Teachers. I corrected it on the Facebook post, and I realized before you pointed it out, but none of that matters. In the court of public opinion, I am now wrong, so I will accept that and move on. But no, so the idea of the non-core is an amazing thing, right? So they could have left the stage, they could have come back, and they could have done like a 4-minute song, and everyone would have been like, and they all could have gone on their way. But you got, what was that, 16 minutes of Empress? And to me, why bother walking off the stage if you can have that instead of something that's not so satisfying? I mean, it was a good call. It was a great call.
Yeah, and so that's the thing, right? It's not, it's not always a matter of, oh shit, we've only got 7 minutes till curfew, because a lot of times when they've non-cored in the past, many times that's the case, right? It's like, oh, but we're
Mhm.
cutting it so close.
Yeah. Like they theoretically had time to walk
we've got
off
7 or
and
8
come
minutes.
back.
So last night it was more a case of we really want to play Empress, and so if we walk off, then we can't, and we got to choose something else or whatever. But which there's a lot of choices for a 12-minute encore. So yeah, they really wanted to play Empress. So that's the part I like about it is non-core if you have to get to play what you want, you know what I mean? Because I think a lot of times that is it's like it's those 15-minute songs that they want to encore, and that's a special encore, you know what I mean? So so that's you can't go, zero arguments with that choice, and happy with it all the time. Now I'm in the camp too that's like I mean what's the point, you know what I mean? Stay up there, soak in a little bit of applause if you want, you know what I mean, during your non-core announcement, and just get back to business,
Yeah.
And they clearly had discussed it and planned it in some way, because Peter, once the other song had ended, Peter was immediately on the mic saying, "We're not going anywhere. Let's pretend that we left the stage and came back." So they knew. I'm with you guys. Keep it going, especially when it can be a long one like that.
Yeah,
it was great. I thought, I mean, it had a little bit of everything, that jam, right? Like it was, and recognizing the fact that as they were going and it was building, that there was more time left, that they could take it as long as they did, was also pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just to kind of underscore Jive's point there, this wasn't a situation like Swansea 2021 where they were just flat out running out of time. Like this was a choice. It was the right choice, and you guys got a killer song out of the deal. Instead of like just a cover, they could have come out and did like I don't know, like Rock the Casbah and just like walked off, right? And I don't know, this would be more fun.
Casbah's for next week.
Yeah.
For Jeff's birthday.
It was just a cover that immediately came to mind, but anything like that.
It's fair. Yeah, like a quick cover, pina colada, if you will.
Yeah, like Escape. So that's a really good example. So you could have had Escape, or you could have had
16-minute
Empress.
Yeah,
I'm taking
it's
Empress.
it's a very clear choice. Which one is the right move there? But that's this show. We're very excited to see him again at ACL, and just 4 hours now, and then you guys can webcast it 3 hours after we see it, which is very interesting.
Oh,
but
yeah,
the webcast is at like
true?
10:30.
Yeah,
Central,
the webcast is not live. Yeah, so
spoilers in chat. I swear to God.
Well, if you guys would
know.
prefer, I will not post anything.
Well, so there's some people. I know there were people streaming, doing fan streams last night. So I'm somewhat confident that there'll be a fan stream today. So
then you can watch it again.
We'll check that out.
Hey,
we should probably do a real quick fancy update, just because I mean that's
we should. We've got aspiring fantasy player
like
Rob Storm here as well.
How'd you do last night, Rob?
I think I had 16.
Last night was tough.
Mm-hmm.
I had Animal, Echo. Echo was my 7. I think Animal was 6, and I hit my 5 too.
I think you beat these two. I think you beat these other two guys last night.
I hit I had Redbird and Animal as 8 and 7, and then I had Empress for 3. So I think I had
18. That's respectable. That's respectable.
I think I had 18.
I overthought
let me
the
check the
picks
spreadsheet.
big time on this one. I left out anything that I thought they were going to play today, which
that was
spoiler, they're going to play Hot Tea, Arcadia, and the Drip Tick today. I think everybody knows that, and Silver Rise. Like, I mean, if you look at
people out there who haven't got their picks in yet.
People haven't done their picks, Neil. So no helping.
Tune into AT-Pop for like.
You guys aren't going to ask me how I did last night?
Listen.
Nobody cares.
I'm looking at the tour rankings. I'm looking at the tour rankings. I'm currently in 6th, which I did not realize I got up that high. So I'm very happy with how I'm doing right now. I'm only 11 points out of first place. Kev's ahead of me by 7 right now. But I'm ahead of both of you schmucks. So
hey, so I'm all the way up to 13th. It seems like just a couple of days ago I was in like 110th. You guys were making jokes about how you just couldn't find. You kept scrolling, but you couldn't find me. But yeah, just making big moves each night. I think it's 110 to like 76 up to like 50, then up to like 31, and then now up to 13. So, it's like we said before, you know what I mean? The cream tends to rise to the top on these tours once the shows start piling up, you know what I mean? I think
I haven't spent as much time as you guys looking at the history on the Fantasy Goose page, but it seems the history only shows the end of the tour results. It does not show what happens in the middle, so it doesn't matter how you get there as long as you get there.
This is why Neil is our ranking runner-up right now.
Hey,
yeah.
All I know is I finish high every time.
Oh, you're high.
In a couple seasons, but I won a couple seasons in a row. I'm like 2 out of the last 4 seasons, so I'm not worried about you guys. Everybody knows I got the good picks. I had a couple off seasons.
Is there a way to see? Neil, I know you're a big tech guy too. So, is there a way to see? So, how many players do we have right now? Like 170 players. Is there a way for you to look up how many people were playing when you won?
Yeah. I don't think that's relevant. I think what matters
is might be like 30.
Yeah, I think like 30, like 32.
That's all that matters is that you lost.
Last night we had 133 playing. So
that's awesome.
See, people start to fall off. You know what I mean? It's tough. It's a grind. You know what I mean? It's a grind, and you've got to wake up every day thinking about, hey, what's going on tonight? Is it show day? You know what I mean? What time are doors? Where's my spreadsheet? You know what I mean? I got to make updates from last night's show. I got to start, running my algorithms. I mean, not everybody can do that every day.
Or you can do it like me and just pick eight songs
and have like the same results. Like that's the best part.
Yeah, that is the best part. You've been doing pretty well this tour.
What else are you guys going to see today? Are you going to see any other bands at ACL, or you're going to do Goose?
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to see the Chili Peppers. I know they're the headliner, and so that's. But last time I saw them, I think was in 94 or 95, and it was an incredible show. So if they're, even, I've heard great things about this tour, so I'm super excited to see them.
Yeah, Peter might be right there with you. I know he's a huge Chili Peppers fan.
Yeah.
So
incredible stuff. So
I'm wondering if we're going to get any Goose members sitting in with any other bands.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. I don't know, how many bands playing today at least are, like Goose peers or friends of them. Like I would say obviously the Billy Strings speculation, but Billy's not in Austin right now, and he'll be gone by the time Goose gets back next weekend. So
when's Big Boy's set?
Big Boy was yesterday.
Oh, it was yesterday. Okay.
Goose does find a way to sit in with bands that it doesn't even make any sense at all. Like the Lucius stuff, I don't think anybody would have seen that coming. You could have looked at the lineup and said out of all these bands, who they're going to sit in with, and Lucius might have been one of the last. So
I thought I saw somebody say yesterday the Marias, who were actually on the same stage as Goose just before them, was someone to see.
Cool. Well, we'll see what happens, but I'm excited for tonight. We'll be back right here tomorrow. Same time as always to talk about tonight's festival set. Looking forward to it. Then we've got 5 more shows, and then that's it for fall tour, and then Goose on the horizon. But very happy that I was able to have my dad on. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks Rob for being on. Maybe tomorrow we'll get your mom on.
Why not?
Or Joey, or Andy,
or maybe we just do a whole family,
a family episode,
family segment. Yeah, you guys could all sit on the couch together, do a wide shot.
Yeah.
Come on, let's
listen.
do it.
We're gonna be doing that. We're gonna be doing that for Goosemas. So, but yeah. Anyway, we're going. Everybody have a fantastic rest of your day. We will catch you here tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in.